Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Let us start.
हाँ
Sir
जी, ओके जी,
Kapilaji will take
ओके,
class
ओके
today.
जी, ओके.
Please, all of you, please listen to him.
Okay ji, good evening everybody. So today we are going to discuss a chart that was given to be my Murthy ji. And should I post the chart?
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay, sir.
So can you see the chart?
No, sir. No, sir.
Display करो sir.
हाँ सर, वही कर रहा हूँ.
अरे नानी, नानी,
हाँ जी, is the chart visible now?
కొంచెం ఏసీ ఏరా.
No, sir.
అది కెమెరా
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
ఏం
Yes,
కాదు.
yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Chart is visible?
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Visible, sir.
ఓకే
Okay,
ఓకే విజిబుల్
okay.
సార్.
Okay, sir. Okay, so then we start with this chart. Now, this is the chart of a female native whose date of birth is 13th of August 1966, and the rectified time is 12 hours 29 minutes and 16 seconds. Now, what we need to do is to study the event of marriage for this particular chart. Now, before I start with what is important, I'll proceed systematically from the very first rule to the last rule. Now, the very first rule for the analysis of any chart by the cuspal interlink theory is that we need to analyze, we need to study the ascendant subsublot, we need to study the seventh subsublot, and we need to study the 11th subsublot. So, rule number one for any chart which we have taken to predict the event, like in the present case, we are talking about the event of marriage. So, we need to study the ascendant subsublot, 7th subsublot, and 11th subsublot and find out that whether the ascendant subsublot, the 7th subsublot, and 11th subsublot are promising marriage or not. Now, if I look at the significations of Rahu, which is the ascendant subsublot, Rahu is without PS. It represents Mars and Sun. It is placed in the star of Sun, sub
Excuse
of
me,
Moon.
sir. Excuse me, sir.
जी.
साहब वो टाइम 12:29 ग्रुप में 22:29 डाला साहब.
किस ना 22 नहीं है. It is 12:29 if I am not, if I am right. Murthy ji, what is the time?
20 to 31, sir. Your given time is 20 to 31.
सर instead of 12 or 22 लिख दिया.
Okay, okay.
It
22,
is
29,
12:20.
61.
It is 12, 29, 16.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, so first we need to study the ascendant subsublot. We need to check the promise of marriage. If I look into the cuspal interlink table, what I find here is that Rahu, which does not have a PS and is present in the star of Sun, sub of Moon, and sub of Rahu, is giving the involvement of 5, 7, 11 along with 1, 3, and 9. Now, whenever we take the significations, whenever we talk about the involvement through the star lord, to check the promise, we always concentrate on the main cusps, the main houses which are responsible for given the event. The presence of all other houses over here, whether they are negative or they are unfavorable, they are not to be taken. So, my focus is 139 along with 5, 7, and 11 because these are the favorable houses for giving the event of marriage. So, the involvement is very strong 5, 7, 11, and the commitment is by 9. It is okay. And the final confirmation is again by 5, 7, and 11. Along with this, we have 4, 6, 10, and 12. Though these are negative houses, it means that when the Mahadasha of Rahu is going to be there, there can be certain problems in the marriage, nothing else. Now, if you look at the sublord column, as the sublord column has no 6, no 4, no 10, no 12, it means Rahu is giving me a promise for marriage through the star lord, that is 5, 7, 11, along with 1, 3, and 9, and it is commitment by 9, which is a multiple house of 7. Thereby, there is a promise for marriage. So, Rahu qualifies the native for marriage. Then, the 7th sub-sublord and the 11th sub-sublord is Jupiter. So, if you look at the significations of Jupiter, Jupiter is again 5, 7, 11 involvement along with 1 and 9. It commits to 7 along with 9, which means that Jupiter also promises marriage for this native. So both Rahu and Jupiter is also the 11th sub-sublord. So both Rahu and Jupiter are giving a promise for the marriage. So the marriage of this native is likely to occur without any hindrance. Now the next rule is that after having decided that the ascendant sub-sublord and the 7th sub-sublord and 11th sub-sublord, they are making the native qualify for the event of marriage. So the marriage is likely to happen. The question is when this marriage is going to happen. In order to check that, what will be the appropriate of the marriage? Now, what I need to do is, in rule number 2 is, I need to check the significations of the planet, and by looking into the significations of the planets, I have to check out that which are the planets which are favoring the event of marriage, and if there are some other planets also which are unfavorable to the event of marriage. So, rule number 2 is to find out the planets which are responsible to give the event of the marriage. And if I look into the cuspal interlink table, if you look at the significations of Sun, it involves 11, commits by 5, 7, and 11, and final confirmation 11. It means Sun is okay, can give the event of marriage. Look at Moon, involving 5, 7, 11, committing by 11, and again final confirmation by 11. It is also committing to the event of marriage. Mars, 5, 7, 11, commitment by 7, and then final confirmation by 11 again commits to the event of marriage. Mercury 5 and 11 along with 3 and 9, and commitment by 7 and 9, and final confirmation by 7 and 11. Mercury also is okay for the event of marriage. If you look at Jupiter, we have already discussed, it is giving the event of marriage. Look at the significations of Venus. It is involvement of 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, commitment by 3, 9, and 11, and final confirmation by 11. It is also giving the event, it is also giving the significations of marriage. Saturn, involvement of 511, commitment by 511, and then final confirmation by 5, 7, and 11. Now, here, since Saturn is repeated as a star lord and as a sublord, as per the rule of cuspal interlink theory, whenever the same planet is repeated as star lord and sublord, we need to do the bunching of these planets. And if I bunch these planets, then Saturn will be in the star of Saturn, it will be in the sub of Jupiter, and it will be in the sub of Jupiter. So now if I read the significations, involvement of 511, commitment by 5711, and final confirmation by 5711, Saturn also qualifies to give the event of marriage. Rahu, we have already discussed, is qualifying for the event of marriage. And if I look at Ketu, it is 5711 involvement, 7 and 9 commitment, and then again it is 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 final confirmation. It also qualifies. Now, the beauty in this chart is that all the planets starting from Sun right up to Ketu, they all qualify to give the event of marriage. Means all these planets are significators for giving the event of marriage. Now, if this is the case, then what does this directly mean? Again, what I need to do is, the next point is, I will have to look at the sublord column and the sub-sublord column. Now, if you remember the rule of cuspal interlink theory, we have already pointed out, and it has already been written in the books, that the involvement of negative cusp, which are 2, 6, and 10, at the sublord level would always cause a delay in the marriage. If you look at the sublord column, starting from Sun right up to Ketu, then at no place you are getting the involvement of the sixth cusp in all these planets. In Sun, there is no sixth cusp in the sublord column. In Moon, there is no. In Mars, there is no six. Mercury, there is no six. Jupiter, there is no six. Venus, there is no six. Saturn, there is no six. Moon, there is no six. And Ketu, there is no six. And if you look at the sub-sublord column, now unless six appears over here in the sublord column, the appearance of six at the sub-sublord level can simply means that there can be certain impediments only after the marriage event has taken place. So what does this mean indirectly? That the absence of six in the sublord column for all the planets right from Sun up to Ketu means that this particular native may have an early marriage. All the planets are significators of marriage. Non-appearance of six in the sublord column is an indirect indication that this particular native may undergo a early marriage. Any questions up to this point? Now, if it is a case of early marriage, the next point what we need to do is that that if you look at the age of marriage, then two important points we have to keep in mind. First is Desh, Kal, or Patra, and the second one is the significations of the planet non-appearance of the negative houses, particularly sixth in the sublord column. And the third important point for an early marriage is that all the planets should be significators of giving the event of marriage. For this particular native, rule number one, all planets are significators of marriage. Rule number two, non-appearance of six in the sublord column of the planets is a proof which is sufficient for an early marriage of this particular native. Now, for an early marriage to happen, the age is 20 to 22 years. For normal marriage, normal age of marriage, it is 23 to 25 years. For de- delay in marriage, or you say late marriage, it is from 26 to 29 years. And delayed marriage, that is from 30 to 39 or 40 years, and there is no marriage after the age of 40 years. It is only in exceptional cases you find that a person with the age beyond 40 years gets married. I would not say that marriage is not possible, but there are the possibilities for marriage of such a person are very, very less. And you will observe that in 99% or 95% of cases, such persons do not have the event of marriage in their life. So, if this native is going to have an early marriage, then I need to know what will be the appropriate age for the marriage of this particular native. The date of birth for the native is 13/8/1966. And if I presume that 20 years is the age of marriage of this particular native, then the native cannot get married before the age of 13th of August 1986. So, the tentative date for the marriage of this particular native would be 13/8/1986. Now, if I look at so after having approximately calculated the age for the marriage of the native, I have to look into the chart as to what was the dasha running at that particular age. And if you look here in this column on Vimshotri dasha, then Jupiter was running from the year 1976 and it will go up to 1992. And the year 1986 falls in this particular range, which means that Jupiter Dasha would be running when this native is likely to get married. So, after having decided the age of the marriage, I need to calculate the Dasha, that's important. And Jupiter is the appropriate Dasha when the marriage of this native has to take place. And we have already discussed that Jupiter is the sub-sublord of the seventh column as well as 11th column. Thereby, it is strongly giving the significations for the event of marriage and is the appropriate dasha when the marriage can happen. After having decided about the dasha, the suitable dasha in which the marriage is likely to happen, so the next job that we have at our hand is to find out which is the suitable bhukti for the event of marriage. There are certain rules to predict that which can be the suitable bhukti for the event of marriage. I don't know whether you have gone through these rules or not. So the rule number one is that the seventh cusp sublord can be the bhukti lord because it is the strongest planet. It is the sub-sublord of the seventh cusp, is the strong planet that can give the event of marriage, and Bhukti Lord has to be very strong to give the event of marriage. So the first point is that Jupiter, which is the sub-sublord of the seventh cusp, can act as a Bhukti Lord. That is point number one. Second point is that all the planets which are present in the star of the Jupiter or in the sub of the Jupiter or in the sub of the Jupiter can also act as Bhukti lords, provided they fulfill certain other conditions. So here, Jupiter, being the sub-lord of the seventh, should become the Bhukti lord. And if I look at the Bhukti, the first Bhukti that is to start with is the Bhukti of Jupiter. But in the present case, Jupiter cannot be taken to act as a Bhukti lord, although it qualifies to be a Bhukti. Now the question here arises, why? The reason is that the Jupiter Bhukti would be complete by 19th of September 1978, and starting from 66 to 78, the native will be of 12 years in age. The Bhukti Lord may be as much stronger as possible, but the native is not of the marriageable age, and hence marriage in the Bhukti of Jupiter is not likely to happen. Is it okay?
Sir, have a small question for Murthy sir actually.
जी जी पूछिए.
Murthy sir, the time is 12:29 or 22:29?
Same. This is correct, sir. 12, 29, 16.
Oh,
12,
okay.
12, 29, 16.
Okay, okay, sir.
Hanji, is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Is it
Yes.
clear up to this point? First part in predicting the event of marriage is that the ascendant sub-sublord, 7th sub-sublord, 11th sub-sublord should qualify.
Yes.
The second rule is that we have to select the appropriate age of the marriage, which will be dependent upon two things. One is Desh Kal Patra, and the second one is the significations of the planets. And if all the planets appear to be significators of the marriage, and if you find that no negative cusp, particularly sixth cusp, is appearing in the sublord column, then such a native is likely to have an early marriage. So then, for an early marriage to happen, the appropriate age is 20 to 22 years. And if I take 20 years, because we have to start from the minimum age, if I take 20 years of the age as the minimum one in which the marriage is likely to happen, then 66 plus 20 gives you 86. So marriage cannot happen before 13th of August 1986. The second rule is to predict the bhukti. And if you remember, the bhukti has to be very strong to give the event of marriage. Dasha can be neutral, it can be positive, but the bhukti has to be very, very strong. In Jupiter, we have all the 9 bhuktis starting from Jupiter to Rahu. And there is always a problem while deciding that which can be the appropriate bhukti. Which among these 9 planets can act as a bhukti lord? For which the very first rule to assign a bhukti is that the 7th sub-sublord, we have to focus on the 7th sub-sublord, because the 7th sub-sublord itself can act as a bhukti lord. In addition to this, all the planets which are in a star of Jupiter or in the sub of Jupiter or in the sub-sub of Jupiter can also act as bhukti lords. So it can be Jupiter, that is one. It can be Mars, because Mars is present in the star of Jupiter. It can be Jupiter. Jupiter is already there. It can be Ketu, which is present in star of Jupiter. Primarily, we focus only on the star lords. But in this case, as Jupiter is the sub-sublord of the 7th cusp, we can extend it further to the sublord level. Sun is another planet, and Mercury is, and Sun is another planet, and Saturn is another planet. So Jupiter, Mars, Ketu, Sun, and Saturn can become the Bhukti lords, provided they satisfy other conditions also. Now, what are the other conditions? I'll discuss in a short while. So, I was talking here about that the first Bhukti that Jupiter Dasha starts with is the Jupiter Bhukti. And Jupiter Bhukti is appropriate, is a strong Bhukti to give the event of the marriage.
Sir, GVR
G.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Kapila ji,
हाँ जी कहिए
small dot है. ये वाला rule number 1 ascendant subsublot, seventh subsublot, and 11th subsublot.
हाँ
Out
जी
of the ascendant subsublot, rule number 1, what you take?
yes
Rule number 1.
okay
Ascendant subsublot and 7th subsublot and 11th subsublot. All are to be
yes
satisfied.
yes
Suppose out of 3, anyone is not satisfied. What will happen?
no. If you see, what is important is the ascendant subsublot and the seventh subsublot. If
Suppose out of
ascendant
2, now Suniya sir, out of 2,
See.
suppose if anyone is not
see,
satisfied.
that is what I am explaining. The ascendant subsublot has definitely to qualify to give the marriage. If ascendant subsublot, because we are starting with the ascendant subsublot, and if the ascendant subsublot is not qualifying to give the marriage, we need not discuss about the 7th and the 11th subsublot. What is important is, without the ascendant subsublot qualifying to give the event of the marriage, we cannot go beyond it. Suppose ascendant subsublot is not giving marriage, 7th subsublot is giving marriage, it will not happen. Unless and until the 7th subsublot qualifies to give the marriage, the 7th subsublot of its own, even if it has qualified, will not give the event of marriage. So, 7th subsublot as well as ascendant subsublot both are to qualify to give the event of marriage. As far as 11th subsublot is there, it is not that important. The 11th subsublot is just to see that whether there is fulfillment of desire of the native or not. That's all. Nothing else. Any questions?
Sir, about any planet in the star of particular Bhukti Lord, star Lord and subsublord. As you told, provided all other conditions. What are the
Yes.
conditions are there to select a Bhukti Lord?
I'm yet to discuss. I'm yet to discuss. I'm not discussed. I'm yet to discuss. So here Jupiter is not taken as the Bhukti Lord. Jupiter, though it qualifies to be the Bhukti Lord, but the age of the native when the Jupiter Bhukti runs is just 12 years in age, not an appropriate age for the marriage. Thereby, Jupiter, although qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord, it will not allow the event of marriage. Okay, is it clear? Now, the other planets, Mars is present in the star of Jupiter. Jupiter, I have already talked, and Ketu is in the star of Jupiter. So, if Jupiter is not there, then Mars can be taken as the Bhukti Lord and Ketu can be taken as the Bhukti Lord. Now, if you look at the fifth cusp co-rulers, seventh cusp co-rulers, and 11th cusp co-rulers, now that's the next point, that we have to check the significations of the planets and find out. I've already discussed this point with you, that all these planets are qualifying for the event of marriage. Okay. Now, in addition to this, out of these planets, I can still filter out some planets. Which planets? Such planets which do not appear as co-ruler of 5, 7, and 11 cusps. They will not allow the event of marriage. Though they are significators of the marriage, they will not allow the event of the marriage. See, try to get to this point. Mars is in the star of Jupiter. Okay. And if you look at Mars, Mars is neither a co-ruler of 5, nor it is a co-ruler of 7, nor it is a co-ruler of 11. Since it is neither appearing in 5, nor in 7, nor in 11, therefore it does not qualify to be a Bhukti Lord. So the first condition for any planet to be Bhukti Lord is that the planet is a sub-sublord of the seventh cusp. The second condition was that all planets in the star in the sub or sub-sub of the seventh sub-sublord, they also qualify to be the Bhukti Lords. Now the third important point to filter out that which Bhukti Lord is allowed and which is not allowed. I already pointed out that a Bhukti Lord has to be very, very strong. Now Mars, which qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord by being present in the star of Jupiter, it cannot act as a Bhukti Lord because Mars is neither appearing as a co-ruler of 5, nor appearing as a co-ruler of 7, nor appearing as a co-ruler of 11. On the contrary, if you look at Mars, its significations, it signifies Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. That is why it is giving the significations of marriage. But Mars by itself, by not being co-ruler of 5, 7, and 11, fails to become the Bhukti Lord because Bhukti Lord has to be a planet that is very strong. Is it okay? Auntie, is this point clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir,
किसी
we
को
are
कोई डाउट है?
following. Sir,
It has
Vimshottari
to be
Dasha
co-ruler.
after
That is the most important thing, sir.
Sir,
See
Kapilji,
one. हाँ जी हाँ जी.
Kapilji, sir, suppose if the Bhukti Lord is Jupiter, Dasa Lord is Jupiter and Bhukti Lord is also Jupiter.
वो तो
Next
बता दिया ना
Saturn.
मैंने आपको. अरे
No,
बाद में करेंगे ना.
no,
आप
sorry. Allah, this,
see.
we are
See, look
following
here.
Vimshottari
नहीं,
Dasha.
नहीं. Please, or look here. Don't jump over the conclusions like that. That is the reason you know why you are unable to get to the results because you just jump over the conclusions. Don't do like that. See, the analysis of a chart to give a correct prediction has to be done with patience. It has not to be like that कि जुपिटर का हो गया आप सीधा सैटर्न पे चले जाओ. पहले जुपिटर के जो है ये भी तो
That
क्वालिफाई
means you
कर रहे
did
हैं
not,
ना.
that means, sir, so, Kapilji, you need not follow the Vimshottari Dasha. You are following only according to this
No.
5,
We
7.
have to no. Uh, we have to follow the Vimshotri Dasha, but we have to systematically explain now how this further we have to look into it. I could have given you the answer in one line that if you look at the seventh co-rulers, they are Venus, Sun, and Jupiter. One out of these three has to be the Bhukti Lord. So it is either Jupiter or it is Venus or it is Sun. That is all. No need to discuss all these points. Why I'm discussing all these points? So that you should know. Sometimes you will find that जुपिटर की जगह मार्स बन गया, मार्स बाद में आएगा, या जुपिटर की जगह केतु बन गया, केतु पहले आ गया वीनस और सन से. See, the question is you have to filter out. How do you know that? This order has to be followed as per the Vimshotri Dasha. But there has to be a logic how to follow the order. मेरी बात को समझो आप. मैं विमशोत्री दशा के ऑर्डर को रिजेक्ट नहीं कर रहा. आई एम नॉट रिजेक्टिंग द ऑर्डर ऑफ विमशोत्री दशा. आई सेड फर्स्ट कम जुपिटर में जुपिटर की भुक्ति एंड जुपिटर भुक्ति is okay. Jupiter is a strong planet, is a strong significator. It is the seventh sub-sublord as well as sublord. Is a strong planet, should be a bhukti. In spite of being strong, it is not giving marriage. Why it is not giving marriage? Because 12 years of age is not the appropriate age for the marriage. Okay. Now, after having rejected Jupiter, I have to look for planets which are in the star of Jupiter. It is Mars and Ketu. So Mars appears over here, second last Bhukti, and Ketu appears over here. It is the fourth Bhukti starting from Jupiter. So the question is that whether Ketu planet, because Ketu comes before Venus and Sun, which are the other co-rulers of seventh cusp. So can Ketu become a Bhukti Lord? That is the point.
So
Any question?
we've already discussed that the native is likely to have an early marriage. So
Correct.
the earliest time that we get is in Ketu.
नहीं वो केतु में मैरिज होगी कि नहीं होगी, दैट्स ए सेपरेट थिंग. The
That we have to
question is,
check. Yes.
we see how you can tell that. We have to check it, and we
Yes,
have
sir.
to check it, and we have to explain it with an appropriate reason that why it has happened or why it has not happened. So that is
Earliest
what I am trying to
possibility.
explain.
Earliest
Yeah,
possibility
there
is
is a
Ketu. We have to check whether Ketu actually give or not.
yes, that's the point. That's the point. So, Haji, is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
किसी को कोई और क्वेश्चन पूछना, पूछो, कोई और है, कोई डाउट है तो अभी क्लियर करो.
Procedure, as you told, this is the first rule is the seventh sub-sublord,
Yes,
co-ruler of the seventh SSL. Seventh SSL, co-ruler of the seventh SSL, and second thing is the planet in the star, sublord and sub-sublord. That is
yes,
the
of Jupiter.
you have to follow the. You have to check.
Yes, that is important. Why it is
Yes,
important? Because the seventh sub-sublord is the strongest of all the co-rulers. That is why we are looking into the planets which are in the star of Jupiter. Now the question here is, Mars is in the star of Jupiter, and Mars appears over here. It comes after Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, Venus, Sun, Moon, and Mars. Okay, so for the time being, we would leave it. But if you look at the answer, Mars is neither a co-ruler of 5 nor 7 nor 11. Therefore, Mars by no means can act as a Bhukti Lord. Because a Bhukti Lord has to be a planet which is at least a co-ruler of 7 or 5 or both 5 and 7 or all the three, 5, 7 and 11. Okay. Then the next one is Ketu. Now, from Jupiter, the next Bhukti is Saturn and Mercury. Then comes Ketu. So Ketu appears after Saturn and Mercury. Before proceeding to Ketu, the planet which is in the star of Jupiter, I will have to look at the Bhukti Lord Saturn and Mercury. Now, neither Saturn nor Mercury, they are co-rulers of the seventh cusp. See, the important rule is that when all the planets, they are significators of giving the event of marriage, then in such cases, when all the planets starting from Sun to Ketu, they are capable of giving the marriage, then in such cases, how we check that which can be the appropriate bhukti? First of all, we will look into the co-rulers of the seventh cusp, and if no appropriate bhukti is found in the co-rulers of the seventh cusp, we will have to look into the co-rulers of the seventh cusp, which are Venus, Sun, and Jupiter. And if there is no appropriate planet out of these planets which can act as a bhukti lord, we shall proceed to the co-rulers of the fifth cusp with a condition that any planet which is a co-ruler of the fifth cusp should be present in a star that is a co-ruler of the seventh. Only then it can act as a bhukti lord. So these are other conditions that we need to keep in mind. I repeat again. The first condition is the seventh sub-lord can act as a bhukti lord. The second point is all planets in the star sub and sub-sub of seventh sub-lord can also become the bhukti lords. But this order has to be followed, strictly followed. The third point is in cases where all the planets are significators of the event, then in such cases, in order to proceed to find out the bhukti lord, we have to first of all concentrate and focus upon the planets appearing as co-rulers of the 7. Then we need to focus upon the planets appearing as co-rulers of the 5. And in the last, we need to focus upon the planets which appear as co-rulers of the 11th cusp. Okay. Now, a planet appearing as co-ruler of 7, because 7 is the primary house and it is already appearing as a co-ruler of the 7, it is okay. The condition is okay, the condition is fulfilled, the condition is satisfied. Suppose if Venus, Sun, and Jupiter cannot be the appropriate Bhukti lords due to one reason or the other, then we have to focus upon the fifth co-rulers of the fifth cusp. And the co-rulers of the fifth cusp, they are Jupiter, Saturn, and Rahu. Their strength order is Jupiter less than Saturn less than Rahu. In seventh cuspal sub-sublords, seventh cuspal co-rulers, the strength is Venus less than Sun less than Jupiter. If Venus, Sun, and Jupiter, for example, are not acting as the Bhukti lords, then the next Bhukti lord to be selected has to be from the fifth co-rulers, subject to condition that the planets which are co-ruler of the fifth cusp, they have to be present in a star which is a co-ruler of the seventh cusp, because the appearance in primary cusp has to be satisfied. I explain this by taking the example of Rahu. Suppose Venus, Sun, and Jupiter are not taken as the Bhukti lords. Okay, then I will have to go to Rahu first. Rahu is fifth cusp sub-sublord. Rahu is present in the star of Sun, and Sun is the seventh cusp star lord. Therefore, Rahu qualifies to be a Bhukti lord. Then I have to look at Saturn. Saturn is the fifth cusp star lord as well as sublord. So Saturn, in order to qualify to be the Bhukti lord, should be present in a star that is present as a co-ruler of the seventh cusp. Saturn is present in its own star, which is again 5, which is again a co-ruler of 5. Thereby Saturn does not qualify to be a Bhukti lord. Jupiter, we have discussed, is seventh cusp sub-sublord. It qualifies to be a Bhukti lord. You get this point? How to find out which planet can act as a Bhukti lord and which cannot act as a Bhukti lord, and your questions before I proceed further. अगर यहाँ तक किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो यू आर वेलकम टू आस्क मी क्वेश्चंस कि हमें सबसे पहले सेवंथ कास्ट सब को रूलर्स पे फोकस करना है. इफ नो प्लेनेट, हाँ जी बोलिए
साहब. वो हमने मार्स को छोड़ दिया ना सर.
मार्स को हमने क्यों छोड़ा? मार्स पहली बात तो है
जुपिटर का स्टार में है ना, जो जुपिटर
हाँ,
का स्टार में
हाँ,
है.
जुपिटर के स्टार में हमने मार्स को क्यों छोड़ा? क्योंकि
हाँ,
जब भी हम भुक्ति लॉर्ड सिलेक्ट करेंगे वी हैव टू फॉलो दी सीक्वेंस ऑफ विमशोत्री दशा. अब मार्स तक आने के लिए वी हैव टू रिजेक्ट सैटर्न, मरकरी, केतु, वीनस, सन, मून्स. ओनली देन मार्स कैन अपीयर एज द भुक्ति लॉर्ड. ओके, क्योंकि ये सेकंड लास्ट है लिस्ट में, इसका मतलब मार्स तक आने के लिए हमें पहले सारी भुक्तिस को रिजेक्ट करना पड़ेगा विद ए लॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन कि ये भुक्ति क्यों नहीं बनेगी, तब मार्स की बात करेंगे. लेकिन अगर मार्स को वैसे देखो हम, तो मार्स it is not appearing as fifth co-ruler, it is not appearing as seventh co-ruler, it is not appearing as 11th co-ruler, means it is not qualifying to be a Bhukti Lord, because to be a Bhukti Lord it has to be connected to 7, 5, 5 and 7, or 5, 7 and 11. So it has to be co-ruler of 7, or it should be connected to 5 and 7, or it is connected to 7 and 11, or it is connected to all the 3, 5, 7 and 11. Only then it can be a Bhukti Lord. Otherwise, because Bhukti Lord is a planet that has to be a very strong planet to give the event of marriage. हाँ जी, is it clear? मधु जी बात कर रहे थे.
हाँ, ओके सर. लेकिन मेरा
Okay.
डाउट क्या है कि सब वो थर्ड प्लैनेट कनेक्शन हमने नहीं लिया है ना, उसके लिए पूछ रहा हूँ सर. जो जुपिटर का स्टार में रहने वाला, सब में रहने वाला.
हाँ, नहीं, जुपिटर के
उसके साथ हमको जुपिटर जो स्टार में है, वही स्टार में रहने वाला प्लैनेट को भी हम लेना है ना.
हाँ, हम ले सकते हैं इन कंडीशंस में, अगर वो बाकी कंडीशंस को सेटिस्फाई करें.
ओके सर.
प्राइमरी कंडीशन क्या है? जो भी भुक्ति लॉर्ड का प्लेनेट होगा, इट शुड बी ए कोरूलर ऑफ 5 और 7 और 11. इट इज ए मस्ट. एनी प्लेनेट विच इज नॉट ए कोरूलर ऑफ 5 और 7 और 11 कैनॉट बी ए भुक्ति लॉर्ड. जो प्लेनेट 5, 7, 11 में अपीयर ही नहीं होगा, इट कैनॉट बी ए भुक्ति लॉर्ड. ओके, क्लियर नाउ? एनी मोर क्वेश्चंस प्लीज? किसी को कोई डाउट है और पूछिए. Is there any doubt?
Sir, yes, about the Saturn. Saturn is not suitable for the Bhukti Lord. Is it right?
Yes. Saturn is not suitable for Bhukti Lord. Look here. Saturn को Bhukti Lord हम लेंगे. Saturn पहली बात, point number 1, Saturn is not a co-ruler of 7. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Point number 2, Saturn is a co-ruler of 5.
Yes,
so
sir.
it satisfies the first condition,
yes, sir.
of Bhukti Lord to be a Bhukti Lord.
Then
Saturn has to be in a star or planet that should be linked to 7. Means it should be a co-ruler of 7.
Yes,
and
sir.
Saturn here is present in the star of Saturn.
That also okay.
How okay? 7 कहाँ आया?
The star lord of star lord Saturn is in one star.
अरे क्या करते हो? मून स्टार कहाँ आ गया? सैटर्न मून स्टार में कहाँ है? सैटर्न के स्टार में है.
No, one star. Yes, sir. The Saturn is in star.
GVR Murthy గారు ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి.
Saturn is in star.
GVR Murthy గారు ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి. ఈ బర్త్ 1966 బర్త్, లీగల్ ఏజ్ ఫర్ మ్యారేజ్ ఈజ్ 18 years.
మీరు ఆ పాయింట్ చెప్పట్లేదు ఆయన. చెప్పట్లేదు ఆ పాయింట్.
వినండి మూర్తి గారు, లీగల్ ఏజ్ గురించి ఫస్ట్ మాట్లాడాం మనం. మీరు బహుశా మర్చిపోయారు
సార్. అక్కడ వరకు వెళ్ళలేదు, అక్కడ వరకు ఈ నెల లేదు. ఇక్కడ రూల్స్ చెప్తున్నారు. అక్కడ
గారు ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ కోసం ఆర్గ్యూ చేయకండి సార్. దేశకాల పరిస్థితుల గురించి చెప్తూ ఎర్లీ మ్యారేజ్ ఈజ్ బిట్వీన్ 20 to 22, నార్మల్ మ్యారేజ్ ఈజ్ బిట్వీన్ 23-25.
కరెక్ట్.
బియాండ్ 25 ఈజ్ లేట్ మ్యారేజ్. క్లియర్ గా చెప్పారు.
इनका क्वेश्चन क्या है? व्हाट इज हिज क्वेश्चन?
अभी కూడా దేశకాల పరిస్థితులను రింగి చెప్పమన్నారు.
Sir, now his question is that Saturn is not taken as Bhukti Lord. Exactly. What is the reason? The reason is simple. Saturn is a co-ruler of 5th cusp. It qualifies the first rule to be a Bhukti Lord. Okay? Now the second important rule, which is important for a Bhukti Lord, is it needs to have a connection with the 7th cusp.
Yes.
7th cusp. It has to be in the star of a planet which is a co-ruler of 7th cusp. And Saturn here is present in the star of Saturn. Again 5. There is no 7. As 7 is not appearing, which is the primary cusp for the marriage, Saturn cannot be taken as the Bhukti Lord. Simple. हाँ जी बोलो अब.
Saturn is not in the star of 7th co-ruler. That's why it is rejected.
పాయింట్ అక్కడ పాయింట్ పట్టుకోవాలి ప్రసాద్ గారు. నేను అదే అన్నాను. ప్రసాద్ గారు ముందు ఏజ్ గురించి డిస్కస్ చేయలేదు ఆయన. డిస్కస్ చేస్తున్నారు. నేను ఈ పాయింట్ పట్టుకుందాం అడుగుతున్నాను.
ఏజ్ కూడా మాట్లాడడం ఫస్ట్.
That is a different. That is second thing
apply
అండి.
అవుతుంది.
అది సెకండ్ థింగ్. అది సెకండ్ థింగ్. ఇస్ పర్టికులర్ రూల్ ఏంటంటే ఆ పర్టికులర్ సాటర్న్ 7th కోర్ రూలర్ గా లేడు కాబట్టి రిజెక్ట్ చేసాము అంటున్నారు. దట్ ఈస్ ద థింగ్. అది
కాదయ్యా, 5th cusp కోర్ రూలర్ ఉన్నారు సాటర్న్, బట్ హీ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఇన్ ది స్టార్ ఆఫ్ 7th కోర్ రూలర్.
సార్ అదే అర్థమైంది. నేను దాన్ని చూడలేదు. 5th కోర్ రూలర్ గా ఉన్నారు కదా, అది సాటిస్ఫైడ్ కదా నేను అడుగుతున్నాను. అది ఓకే.
అందుకే నిదానంగా అన్ని విన్న తర్వాత మీ డౌట్స్ రాసి పెట్టుకుని లాస్ట్ లో అడగండి. క్యారీ ఆన్ సార్.
We'll go ahead, sir.
Sir, see, the rule is that just by one rule, which is 50%, you cannot decide. मैं शादी के लिए तैयार हूं, लड़की कोई तैयार नहीं है. Now, can I get married? You have to follow all the rules, na?
Yes.
Simply by saying that Saturn is a co-ruler of 5, therefore it can be a Bhukti Lord, does not mean anything. Because to satisfy being a Bhukti Lord, the Bhukti Lord has to be, number one, I have already pointed out earlier that it has to be a very, very strong planet, and it has to be a planet that is a co-ruler of the 7th. That is why, we have focused first here that the 7th cusp sub-lord can be a Bhukti Lord. I started with this just to give you an idea that how you measure the potential of a planet to be a Bhukti Lord. Unless and until it satisfies or it has the potential to be a Bhukti Lord, it cannot act as Bhukti Lord. Merely by present in 5. Now, the next question you would ask me that Saturn here is qualifying, Saturn is a significator of the marriage. It is not a Bhukti Lord. See, to be a Bhukti Lord, there have to be certain rules. And the rules, these are not given in the book. This is on the basis of analysis of large number of charts that I have come to the conclusion that how you need to select a Bhukti Lord. And you will find that this rule satisfy 100% of charts. You can't take the Bhukti Lord like that. So being a co-ruler of 5 does not mean it qualifies for the Bhukti Lord. Rahu, I said, qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord. Why it qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord? Because it is sub-lord of 5th cusp. It is present in the star of Sun, and Sun is a co-ruler of 7. It qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord. Jupiter qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord. Jupiter, co-ruler of 5, is a sub-lord of 7th cusp, qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord. Look at the 11th cusp co-rulers. Jupiter I have already discussed, it qualifies. Saturn does not qualify. Sun is present. Sun is a co-ruler of the 11th cusp as well as a co-ruler of the 7th cusp. So it qualifies automatically. No need to discuss about the star lord of Sun. Look at Mercury. Mercury is a co-ruler of 11. It is present in the star of Saturn, and Saturn is a co-ruler of 5. It is not present in the 7. So Mercury will not qualify to be a Bhukti Lord. So after Jupiter, which is not the appropriate for age of marriage, Saturn is not qualifying to be a Bhukti Lord, Mercury is not qualifying to be a Bhukti Lord. Ketu, as Ketu is present in the star of Jupiter, it qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord, but it is not acting as a Bhukti Lord. Why? The reason is, if you look at Ketu is present in the sub of 4, 10, 4, 8, 10 and 12, and in the sub of 4, 6, 10 and 12. What I pointed out, Bhukti Lord should be devoid of the appearance of 6th, both in the sublord level as well as in the sub-sublord level. Now here a question would arise. In many cases, the marriage happens even when there is appearance of 6 in the sublord and the appearance of 6 in the sub-sublord level. Then in such cases, such a marriage always ends up in divorce or ends up in a separation. And the separation is not merely by divorce. It may be that one of the partner, they may not survive for a long period. Anyhow, there has to be a break in the partnership. Is this clear, please? Is this point clear?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Any doubt? So now the next question is Ketu. Ketu qualifies to be a Bhukti Lord as per the rule, but it will not act as a Bhukti Lord. Why? Because Ketu is present in the sub of 4, 8, 10, and 12. No 6 is there. It is okay. And at the same time, 6, 8, 10, and 12, 4, 6, 10, and 12, they are appearing at the sub level. Thereby, this is decreasing the potential of Ketu to become a Bhukti Lord. And that is why Ketu is not the potential Bhukti Lord. Okay. अब इसमें अगर हम ये सारी डिटेल्स में ना जाएं, if we don't go into all such details, then the simple rule, to find out the Bhukti Lord is that the Bhukti Lord is usually, in 95% of cases, is the planet which is a co-ruler of the 7th cusp. And the strength, the potential of the 7th cusp co-rulers is from Sign Lord, lower in strength than Star Lord, which is lower in strength than Sub Lord, which is lower in strength than Sub Lord. So now, the other two co-rulers that we are left with, it is Sun and Venus. Sun is stronger as compared to Venus. Both Sun and Venus, they are giving the significations for the event of the marriage. Out of these two, Sun is stronger than Venus. But Venus in Vimshotri Dasha is appearing first, and then it is preceded by Sun. Okay. So then out of these two, one has to be the potential Bhukti Lord. Both qualify to be the Bhukti Lord. But since the strength of Sun is, the potential of Sun is more than Venus, and they are simultaneously appearing together, so I would prefer to take Sun as the Bhukti Lord. Is it okay, please? So Sun has to be taken as the Bhukti Lord. Right?
Yes,
Sun
sir.
has to be taken as the Bhukti Lord. Now, if you look at both these planets, Sun and Venus, Venus is giving a promise of 5, 7, 11, 5, 11, and 11. Sun is giving a promise of 11, followed by 5, 7, 11, and then 11. Both are in the sub of Mercury. The difference is, where is the difference? The difference is that Venus is present in the sub of Saturn, and Sun is present in the sub of Jupiter. You get the point?
Yes, yes.
Clear हुआ यहाँ से?
It is Sun is in the sub of Jupiter,
which is the sub lord of the 7th cusp.
Yes, yes, yes.
And Venus is present in the sub of Saturn, which is the co-ruler of the 5th cusp. So Sun is having more strength as compared to Venus.
Sir, one more thing. Even if you club it, Mercury will come as sublord. It is also not suitable.
It is not suitable. Correct.
Not suitable.
Correct. Correct. Very true, sir. Haji. So then, now the question is,
Sun is strong.
Sun is strong. Now
Yes.
the question is, Sun can be taken as the Bhukti Lord if the transit of Jupiter is satisfied during this period. Okay. Now, before deciding that whether it is Venus or it is Sun to be the Bhukti Lord, I will have to go for the transit of the Jupiter. So, the minimum age date of marriage was 13/8/1986, and the time was 12:30. I have taken approximately, it was 12:29:16. So I have 12:30, the time taken. Now, is this chart, can everybody see this chart? Transit chart, is it visible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you look at this chart, on 13th of August 1986 at 12:30, if I calculate, then what I find is that Jupiter is traveling in the sign of Aquarius. Haji, can everybody see? Jupiter here is traveling in the sign of Aquarius.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the beauty of this chart? In this chart, I have already stated that all the planets are significators of marriage. If all the planets are significator of marriage, leaving Rahu and Ketu, then planets like Sun, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, whenever they would transit in either of the signs, all the 12 signs, they are favorable for the event of marriage. All the 12 signs, they are favorable for the transit of Sun, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter. हाँ जी, clear है? So what you find here is that Jupiter is transiting in the sign of Aquarius, and that is in the sign of Saturn, and Saturn is a significator of the marriage. So will you take this transit to be okay or not? Can anybody explain? Can anybody give the answer? कोई बता सकता है? देखो, मैंने अभी तक क्या डिस्कस किया आपसे? All planets, they are significators of marriage. Any doubt?
Sir.
इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? The meaning of this is that all the signs, they are good for the transit of planets. Okay? यही मतलब हुआ ना? When all planets are significators of marriage, their signs are also good for transit of planets. Am I right?
इन साइन लाट को कोरूलर बनना है ना सर?
हाँ जी, वो तो बनना है, वो तो बाद में करना है हमने, वो तो भी करना है. तो अब ये देखो, साइन लॉर्ड सैटर्न है. सैटर्न जो है 5 का कोरूलर है. सैटर्न सेटिस्फाई करता है कंडीशन को, और सैटर्न is a significator of marriage, so it qualifies to be the sign in which Jupiter can travel. So the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Saturn is okay. It appears to be okay, but it is not.
Saturn is not having the much potential.
नहीं, ये नहीं है.
Comparatively.
ट्रांजिट में पोटेंशियल नहीं देखेंगे. ट्रांजिट में पोटेंशियल नहीं देखेंगे. Now what you find here is that when on the date 13/8/1986, 12:30, that is the minimum age for the marriage of this girl, which is 20 years, Jupiter is transiting in the sign of Aquarius. And when Jupiter is transiting over here in the sign of Aquarius, the Dasha Lord is Jupiter, the Bhukti Lord is Venus, and Venus can be the appropriate Bhukti. अब दूसरा पॉइंट यहाँ पे हम ये भी कह सकते थे that when you look into this chart, the natal chart, I can simply proceed from Jupiter Dasha right up to Venus Bhukti, because before this period, all these planets cannot act as the Bhukti lords, because the age of the native is not suitable for marriage. हाँ जी, क्लियर होगी बात? क्लियर हो गई?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, clear, sir.
ओके.
Yes.
एक लॉजिक तो मैंने पहले बताया क्यों नहीं हुआ. दूसरा लॉजिक क्या है हमारे पास, कि जब मैरिज का एज हुआ तो भुक्ति के कहां से स्टार्ट होती है? वीनस से स्टार्ट होती है. इसका मतलब ऑल भुक्तिज, जुपिटर, सैटर्न, मरकरी एंड केतु कैन बी रिजेक्टेड. And the logical explanation for rejection of these bhuktis I have already explained. Why Saturn is rejected, why Mercury is rejected, and why Ketu is rejected. वो theoretical explanation है, and practically you find here that all these bhuktis are rejected because the native was not of the appropriate age to get marriage. अब जुपिटर का ट्रांजिट इक्वेरियस साइन में appears to be okay, right? Saturn is a co-ruler of 5. It satisfies the condition. The sign satisfies the condition to be an area where the transit of Jupiter can take place. It is a favorable, and at the same time, Saturn is also known to be a significator of the marriage. The second condition is also satisfied. Yet, I am not taking the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius to be a suitable or the favorable one for the marriage. Do you know
Because
why?
Bhukti Lord Venus. Bhukti Lord is Venus, so it is not suitable.
No, sir, no,
Ah,
no, sir, no, sir, no. What is the reason here? I give you another point. Whenever you are
ah,
looking into the transit, always focus on this point. Now, Jupiter, the next sign is 12, Pisces. And the Lord of Pisces sign is Jupiter.
ah.
And Jupiter from its sign is appearing in which house? 12th house.
Yes, sir.
देखो जुपिटर पाइसेस साइन जो है इसका लॉर्ड जुपिटर है. जुपिटर इज द लॉर्ड ऑफ द पाइसेस साइन, and from this house Jupiter is appearing in the 12th house, and since it is appearing in 12th house from its house, this transit will not be favorable, will not give the.
Yes.
Now
12.
now see, this point is not given in the books, please note it down. Whenever any planet transits in a position 12th or 8th to its sign, then that particular transit is never favorable.
Sir,
जब भी कोई planet
whenever any planet
whenever any planet
ah,
transits in
ah,
12th or 8th position to its sign
12,
or 8th,
8th,
yes,
ah,
to its sign, then its transit is not favorable.
then its transit is not favorable.
अब इसका मतलब जुपिटर का ट्रांजिट एक्वेरियस में और जुपिटर का ट्रांजिट लिब्रा में,
Ah,
which is 8th from 12th sign, it will not be favorable. Okay, so then now is this point clear? Is it clear up to this point?
this is important rule.
Yes, sir. It is not given in the books, but to say when we study the transit, this has to be applied.
Yes.
And this rule is applicable to 100% of charts. It is applicable to every chart. Okay. Now, this logic is used for which kind of planets? Slow moving planets. And slow moving planets are Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn. It is only applicable to these slow moving planets. We have to focus particularly for the slow moving planets, not for the fast moving planets, because the fast moving planets will easily change the sign just within few days. Is it okay, sir?
Okay, sir. Okay.
So the transit of Jupiter in Aquarius sign is not favorable. Now, if it is not favorable, it means the event of marriage will not take place until Jupiter
Enters.
transits into the next sign, that is into the sign of Pisces. Right? So,
ठीक है.
okay hai.
1 year.
Now, what I do is from
Sir,
Jupiter,
is it
no, not 1 year. Jupiter here is of 27 degrees 37 minutes.
Degrees
It is,
देखना. Yes.
yeah, degree dekhna. It will only require a few weeks or a few months. Hardly 1 month or 2 months. So I change the transit by weeks and check it out. But look here, if Jupiter gets retrograde, then it will take a longer period of time. Okay. So
sir,
this means I will have to change it by a month. हाँ जी, बोलिए.
1 month.
Sir, this 8th house, 12th house transit, we have to see with reference to the natal chart's position.
ये natal chart का position है ना. This is natal chart position.
Sir, in natal chart, Jupiter is in Mithun.
In natal chart, Jupiter, yes, Jupiter is in the 8th house.
Jupiter is in 8th house, correct.
Right?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
But from Jupiter, transit Jupiter should not be in 8 and 12.
No. What we are doing here is we are focusing upon the transit of Jupiter in
Sir?
the natal positions. And when Jupiter will appear here in 11th sign, which is 12th to the 12th sign, this transit will not be favorable. Jupiter, when it transits over natal Jupiter, it is okay. Nothing wrong with it.
Sir, I think it should be what do you call Aquarius. Aquarius, sir.
Yes, this is Aquarius, na?
Sir, that is.
We don't have to check the transit of Jupiter from the position of Jupiter in the natal sign.
Acha.
We don't have to check it from here. We have to check the position of Jupiter only in the transit, in the natal chart.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
See, you don't see. Look here. When Jupiter से Jupiter यहाँ आएगा, तो it is okay. Nothing wrong with it. Because the lord of this house is Venus. It is not Jupiter.
Okay.
The transit of Jupiter in a sign which is 12th to its sign, for which it is the lord. Jupiter is lord of 9th and Jupiter is lord of 12th. If Jupiter appears in 8th sign over here, this may not be favorable. If Jupiter appears in 11th over here, which is 12 to this sign, this may not be favorable.
It should be seen in only transit chart.
Only transit chart. Only transit chart, not from the natal Jupiter. अब natal Jupiter से 5th position, 7th position, 9th position, 11th position, they are all favorable positions for the transit of Jupiter.
Sir, not clear, sir. माफ करिएगा.
देखिए आप, सिंपल बात है, जुपिटर की बात कर रहे हो नेटल चार्ट में. ओके, ये नेटल चार्ट है.
हाँ सर.
अब जुपिटर की ट्रांजिट अगर इस पोजीशन पे हो तो फेवरेबल है.
करेक्ट.
इससे 5वीं पोजीशन पे हो तो फेवरेबल है.
करेक्ट.
7th पोजीशन पे हो तो फेवरेबल है.
करेक्ट.
9th पोजीशन पे हो तो फेवरेबल है.
मैं तो वही तो बोल रहा हूँ सर.
11th, सुनो, वो हम ये नहीं ना लेंगे आप. वही तो, दैट इज व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू. See, what you are talking about is कि जुपिटर से जुपिटर की कौन सी पोजीशन फेवरेबल है. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the signs. ये नेटल चार्ट के साइंस हैं. इन साइंस का लॉर्ड जो है 12th साइन का जुपिटर है. जब जुपिटर 11th साइन में आएगा तो अपनी पोजीशन से 12th हो जाएगा.
ट्रांसिट चार्ट लो చూడమంటాడు సార్.
You remove all the planets from here.
Sir, I've understood. You have to study in the transit chart. What I am saying is, जो आपका अपना यहाँ जो दिख रहा है 11वीं, that is 4th house, that is 5th house to Jupiter's position.
वैसे नहीं लेना ना. ये क्या है, ये पोजीशंस तो अरेंज की है ना हमने. दिस इज द पोजीशन ड्यूरिंग द, दिस इज द.
अच्छा, ओके सर, ठीक है सर.
दिस इज द पोजीशन ड्यूरिंग द बर्थ ऑफ दिस नेटिव कि जुपिटर ने कौन सा पोजीशन ऑक्युपाई किया. अब इन सारे प्लैनेट्स को रिमूव करके अगर हमसे कोई पूछे कि जुपिटर किस हाउस का लॉर्ड है, तो वी विल से दी 2nd हाउस एंड दी 5th हाउस.
ओके सर, ठीक है सर.
ठीक है ना. और अगर हम काल पुरुष कुंडली में देखेंगे, वी विल से 9th हाउस एंड दी 12th हाउस. एम आई राइट? We are not checking the transit of Jupiter from the position of Jupiter. जुपिटर की पोजीशन से कभी भी हम ट्रांजिट चेक नहीं करते.
Sir,
We always
can you
we
please open
check.
the transit chart, sir?
Yes, we have to check the transit from the position of the Lagna or from the position of moon. ट्रांजिट पोजीशन हमेशा मून से चेक करते हैं. ये देखिए.
यस यस.
अच्छा, ठीक है सर.
ठीक है ना, ठीक है ना.
From moon 8th house.
फ्रॉम मून 8th हाउस. वो डिफरेंट है ना, बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग हो जाएगा, इसीलिए मैंने वो डिस्कस नहीं किया. वो वैदिक का पार्ट है, नीड नॉट डिस्कस अबाउट इट. वन सिंपल रूल यू हैव टू रिमेंबर इज दैट if Jupiter appears 12th to its sign, it is not a favorable transit for Jupiter.
Only you are following the transit chart only.
Only transit chart, and that too for
Okay.
Sir, माफ
हाँ
करिएगा sir. This is exactly my question. When you are seeing 11th, that is Aquarius, how is it 8th house? और किस चीज के लिए 8th house है?
कौन सा एक्वेरियस 11th 8th हाउस कौन सा है?
जुपिटर जहां है, जुपिटर जहां है,
जुपिटर से नहीं लेना ना.
नहीं सर, ट्रांसिट चार्ट में जुपिटर इज इन कुंभ राशि.
हाँ, तो कुंभ राशि 4th हाउस है ना. नेटल पोजीशन है ना. ये सी नो पोजीशन इज चेंज. नेटल चार्ट में 8th हाउस इज द असेंडेंट. 8 ही यहाँ पे है. 9 10 11 12 नो पोजीशन इज चेंज. इट इज रिटन ट्रांजिट प्लैनेट नेटल राशि चार्ट.
ओके सर.
राइट.
यस सर.
Still if there is doubt you can ask.
ठीक है सर.
नहीं, कोई डाउट है तो बोलिए आप.
सर, जुपिटर इज ट्रांसिटिंग इन द 4th हाउस इन द ट्रांसिट चार्ट.
हाँ, यस. ये ट्रांजिट चार्ट कौन सा है? राशि चार्ट है ना. उसी पे ट्रांजिट हो रहा है प्लैनेट्स का. प्लैनेट्स आर चेंजिंग देयर पोजीशन इन द राशि चार्ट. अब जुपिटर ने यहां से स्टार्ट किया अपना जर्नी जेमिनी से, और जुपिटर ने मैरिज के टाइम के आसपास एक्वेरियस में आ गया. यहाँ पर इस पोजीशन पे आ गया. हाउ मेनी इयर्स से 12 इयर्स का एक सर्कल हो गया. फिर 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 और 20 इयर्स पे यहाँ पे पहुंच गया.
करेक्ट.
21 में यहाँ आएगा, 22 में यहाँ, 23 और 24.
करेक्ट सर.
अब जब जुपिटर यहाँ आएगा तो जुपिटर यहाँ पे अपने साइन से 12th पोजीशन पे हो गया. ये जुपिटर का साइन है ना. ये जुपिटर का साइन है ना. यहाँ पर 12th हाउस का लॉर्ड कौन है? 12th साइन का लॉर्ड कौन है?
सर, व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दिस सर, माफ करिएगा, दिस इज एप्लीकेबल टू मेनी चार्ट्स.
तो सभी चार्ट्स में लगता है ना ये. मैंने कब कहा ये एप्लीकेबल नहीं हुआ?
अच्छा सर, ठीक है सर.
मैंने तो यही, आप चेक करोगे इसको, मैंने यही बोला है कि ये ट्रांजिट में सी द क्वेश्चन हियर इज दैट somebody comes to you and he asks you, suppose as a layman he puts you a question कि जुपिटर 11th हाउस में ट्रांजिट कर रहा है. 11th साइन का लॉर्ड सैटर्न है. ओके. जुपिटर अगर आप देखोगे तो सैटर्न के साइन में ट्रांजिट कर रहा है. राशि लॉर्ड सैटर्न है. ओके.
यस.
तो सैटर्न क्वालिफाई करता है मैरिज देने के लिए? आंसर यस.
ओके सर.
सैटर्न को रूलर है 5 7 11 में से किसी हाउस का? आंसर यस. 5 and 11. तो सैटर्न ने क्वालिफाई कर दिया. 5 11 का को रूलर भी है, और सैटर्न जो है वो सिग्निफिकेटर भी है मैरिज गिविंग हाउसेस का. 5 7 11 का प्रॉमिस भी दे रहा है और फाइनल कंफर्मेशन भी दे रहा है. तो फिर जुपिटर का ट्रांजिट यहाँ पर जब फेवरेबल था तो मैरिज क्यों नहीं हुई? वीनस की भुक्ति भी ओके है. ये देखो वीनस की भुक्ति. वीनस इज द साइन लॉर्ड ऑफ 12th हाउस, and Jupiter dasha Venus bhukti, it is okay, and still the marriage is not happening. Why? एम आई राइट और नॉट?
हम्म,
आप चार्ट देखो इधर, 7th हाउस में वीनस राशि लॉर्ड है। ओके ओके,
हाँ
7th हाउस का को रूलर है वीनस, तो क्वालिफाई करेगा वीनस भुक्ति लॉर्ड बनने के लिए? सेकंड
क्वालिफाइड
पॉइंट, सेकंड पॉइंट
क्वालिफाइड
है क्वालिफाई करेगा। सेकंड पॉइंट है यहाँ पर कि जुपिटर जो है ट्रांजिट कर रहा है एक्वेरियस साइन में। एक्वेरियस साइन का लॉर्ड कौन है? ये देखो, जुपिटर इज ट्रांजिटिंग इन द साइन ऑफ सैटर्न। एक्वेरियस साइन का लॉर्ड सैटर्न है। लुक एट द क्वालिफिकेशंस ऑफ सैटर्न। सैटर्न is a co-ruler of 5th house. Saturn is a co-ruler of 11th house. Okay, so to qualify, any sign qualifies for a transit if it is a co-ruler of either of these houses, 5 or 7 or 11, तो ये qualify करता है। Then we look into the significations of Saturn. If you look into the significations of Saturn, then Saturn is a strong significator of marriage. Look here, Saturn is in the star of Saturn 511. It is in the sub of Jupiter 5711. It is in the sub of Jupiter. That is again 5, 7, and 11.
yes.
Now, when Saturn is qualifying, then why the event of marriage is not happening at this particular point?
सर आई हैव अ स्मॉल क्वेश्चन सर।
जी जी पूछिए।
जुपिटर जब मकर में था, इवेंट नहीं हुआ।
यहाँ पे था, इवेंट नहीं हुआ, मैरिज की एज नहीं ना थी।
हाँ, जुपिटर जब मीन राशि में जाएगा,
हाँ जी, तो मैरिज हो जाना चाहिए, जरूरी नहीं है। देखो देखो, सारे साइंस जुपिटर की ट्रांजिट के लिए फेवरेबल हैं, क्योंकि सारे ही प्लैनेट जो हैं सिग्निफिकेशंस दे रहे हैं मैरिज का। ओके, इसमें से दो प्लैनेट, एक मार्स और दूसरा मून, दोनों क्योंकि 5, 7, 11 के कोरूलर्स नहीं है, इसीलिए मैरिज के लिए क्वालिफाई नहीं करेंगे टू बिकम दी भुक्ति लॉर्ड। लुक एट मून, मून इज नॉट इन 5, 7।
Saturn also cannot become.
नहीं, सैटर्न तो बनेगा ना, साइन तो क्वालिफाई करेगा ना, ट्रांजिट तो ओके है ना।
Saturn very suitable, sir.
No, understood. Okay, sir.
हाँ जी, अभी भी नहीं क्लियर है तो पूछो आप बेशक। देखो सिंपल रूल क्या होता है, व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू इज, पहला पॉइंट, एज ऑफ मैरिज हमने 20 इयर्स लिया है। ओके, और 20 इयर्स में जुपिटर यहां ट्रांजिट करेगा, 19 इयर्स में जुपिटर यहां ट्रांजिट करेगा, 18 इयर्स में जुपिटर यहां ट्रांजिट करेगा। एम आई राइट? ठीक है, 18 इयर्स में जुपिटर अपने साइन में ट्रांजिट करेगा, 19 में ट्रांजिट करेगा कैप्रिकॉन में, 20 में ट्रांजिट करेगा इक्वेरियस में। हमने मिनिमम एज सिलेक्ट किया 20 इयर्स। ओके, अब जुपिटर ने ये पॉइंट्स तो क्रॉस कर लिए, 9 और 10। The marriage could have happened over here 18 years में, but 18 years is the age which does not qualify for a native to get marriage. कहीं भी जाओ आप, 20 years से कम एज में मैरिज is possible only for persons which who have born in the age of say 20s, 1920s up to 1950s. Beyond 50 the age increased by 2 years. उससे पहले आप देखोगे 16 साल में भी मैरिज हो जाती थी, 17 में भी मैरिज हो जाती थी, 18 में भी मैरिज हो जाती थी। तो हमने यहाँ पे मिनिमम एज जो है क्वालिफिकेशन फॉर मिनिमम एज टू बी क्वालिफाइड फॉर मैरिज, दैट इज 20 years, and I have taken is 1986. 1986 में जुपिटर इज ट्रांजिटिंग ओवर हियर, राइट? हाँ जी बोलो, अभी भी डाउट है तो पूछो। क्लियर करो इसको, तब आगे चलेंगे, आगे तब डिस्कस करेंगे.
Clear, sir. We'll go ahead.
See, look here, 18 years यहां होंगे ना, इस पॉइंट पे होंगे ना 18 years. अगर हम 18 years मैरिज की एज लेके चलें, 66 and 18 तो 84 होगा. एटी 84 में जुपिटर यहां होगा. ओके, हाँ जी, हो गया क्लियर. 1984 में जुपिटर इज ओवर हियर इन इट्स ओन साइन, राइट. अब यहां पे जुपिटर ने क्वालिफाई नहीं किया मैरिज के लिए. वाई? whenever Rahu and Ketu appears at the 1/7 axis, they will never permit the marriage to happen.
Sir, 1/7 axis.
हाँ जी, 1/7 axis पे राहु केतु का appearance will never allow the marriage to happen.
In transit.
In transit. Unless and until Rahu and Ketu change their positions from this sign, marriage will not happen. And Rahu and Ketu, they stay at this particular position for how much time? 1.5 years. इसीलिए जब जुपिटर इस पोजीशन पे था 18 years ऑफ एज में, मैरिज नहीं हुआ बिकॉज असेंडेंट और 7th पोजीशन पे राहु केतु का एक्सेस है. एंड व्हेनेवर राहु केतु अपीयर्स एट द लग्ना और द 7th position, then they will never allow the marriage to happen. And if you look into charts, whenever such an arrangement is there, marriage will never happen. किसी चार्ट में देख लो आप. अब ये रूल वैदिक का है, ठीक है ना, ये रूल वैदिक का है, लेकिन इसको जो थ्योरी है वो कस्पल इंटरलिंक थ्योरी एक्सप्लेन नहीं करती. अब राहु केतु यहां से अपीयर हटेंगे तो फिर मैरिज होगा. यहां देखो, अदरवाइज सैटर्न एंड जुपिटर का डबल ट्रांजिट सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है.
Sir, Kapil ji,
हाँ जी.
you are discussing about the Vedic rule. You are discussing.
नहीं, not Vedic. I'm not talking about Vedic rule. I'm just giving you an idea कि अब आप पूछोगे ना कि राहु केतु इस एक्सिस पे आएंगे तो मैरिज क्यों नहीं होगी.
That is the different thing, sir. As you follow the KCL rule, suppose Saturn is not suitable for the particular instant.
नहीं, that's not the point. The question is of early marriage. Early marriage is now, if I take this age to be 18 years, then at 18 years of age, Jupiter is in this house, and Saturn is aspecting Jupiter. So double transit rule is satisfied. So it is an appropriate time when the native could have got married, but because of the appearance of Rahu and Ketu on 1/7 axis, marriage will not happen. Marriage will not happen. They will always cause a delay in the marriage. Whenever Rahu Ketu appears on 1/7 axis, there is always a delay in the marriage. इस एज में मैरिज नहीं हुआ. Should I proceed further?
Okay.
हाँ जी, अभी भी डाउट है क्या?
Sir, is it Vedic rule or Caspal interlinked rule?
नहीं, ये तो मैंने जनरल बात की है ना. मैंने तो यहाँ इस पॉइंट को ही ओमिट कर दिया ना. मैंने तो बात ही 1986 से स्टार्ट की है. I have started with 1986. Minimum age is 20 years of age for marriage. And 20 years of age of marriage would mean that Jupiter is transiting in the sign of Aquarius. This transit is not favorable because Jupiter is appearing in a position 12 to its sign. जुपिटर का अपना साइन 12 है, जिसका लॉर्ड जुपिटर है और अपने से 12th हाउस में अपीयर हो रहा है. दिस ट्रांजिट इज नॉट फेवरेबल एंड दिस रूल इज एप्लीकेबल टू 100% चार्ट्स. हाँ जी, क्लियर है?
By the experience, you are telling like this.
नहीं, by the experience नहीं, when you just look into the charts and you just study the charts, you will find that whenever slow moving planet appears in a 12th position to 12 to its sign, the event will not happen. It is not considered to be a favorable transit.
Oh, okay.
और मून पोजीशन से ट्रांजिट लोगे आप, तो मून पोजीशन से 1 2 5 7 9 11 दे ऑल फेवरेबल ट्रांजिट्स. वो वैदिक का रूल है. हाँ जी, चले आगे, प्रोसीड करें आगे कि अभी भी कोई डाउट है? हाँ जी,
Sir,
बोलो.
if it is 1985, whether it will suit, sir?
हाँ जी,
If it is 1985,
हाँ जी,
whether it will be suited, sir?
1985.
Yes,
If
sir.
it is over here,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ, it is okay.
That
Then
will, shall we
then
stick
we
that one, sir?
then we have to look for other reasons. We have to look for other reasons, na?
Yes, sir.
1 year back means 1985.
Sir,
1985, Jupiter is here. Rahu and Ketu, they have now disappeared from the 1 and 7 axis. So this period is okay. This period is okay, subject to condition. Which is the other condition? जुपिटर के साथ साथ अब यहाँ पे डबल ट्रांजिट भी सेटिस्फाई होना चाहिए. अब जुपिटर एंड सैटर्न डबल ट्रांजिट कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई होना चाहिए. नंबर 1 इज देयर. सेकेंडली, नाउ व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, अब वहां पे ये ना एक्चुअली रूल फिर दूसरा आ जाएगा. द रूल विल बी ऑफ वैदिक रूल. सैटर्न हैज टू बी लिंक्ड टू द असेंडेंट cusp, the 7th cusp, or the ascendant sublord, or the 7th lord. So Saturn, when linked to ascendant to the 7th house or to the ascendant lord or the 7th lord, only then that period is suitable for marriage. अब इसमें एक्चुअली क्या है, बहुत कुछ आता है ना इसमें. देयर आर सो मेनी अदर थिंग्स, but we have to focus mainly on the cuspal interlink theory.
Yes.
Right? Now here the transit of Saturn is not satisfying the condition for marriage. Why it is not satisfying the condition for marriage? The reason is that Saturn in no way is linked to the ascendant cusp. It is in no way linked to the 7th cusp. Ascendant lord is Mars. Saturn is not linked to Mars. 7th lord is Venus. Ascendant is linked to Venus. Right? So then it has to satisfy both the conditions by linking to the ascendant and the 7th house, or linking to the ascendant lord and the 7th lord. That is the position where Saturn transit fixes for 2.5 years, in which the marriage is likely to happen. हाँ जी, क्लियर है? इसमें बहुत रूल्स आते हैं. हाँ जी, बोलो, आगे चलूं कि?
Yes, sir. We'll proceed further, sir.
हाँ जी, बोलो बोलो, मूर्ति जी क्या कहते हो?
ओके सर, ओके.
आगे डिस्कस करें. वो क्वेश्चन रह गया बीच में, अभी किसी को डाउट है तो पूछो.
ఏమండి మీకు ఏమైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే అడగండి.
और पोजीशन की बात क्लियर हुई कि नहीं हुई?
అయ్యా మీకేమైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే అడగండి అంటున్నాడు ఆయన.
లేదు సార్, డౌట్ లేదండి, పోనండి
ఆ,
సార్.
ప్రొసీడ్ కానా?
ఎస్ సార్, ఎస్ సార్.
రైట్ సార్, ప్రొసీడ్ సార్.
Okay, sir. So as long as Jupiter transits in this sign, the marriage will not happen, right? So
Okay.
we have to shift Jupiter from this position. So then the transit of Jupiter in its own sign, that will be okay, right? So then if I do so, I have to change by a few months, and if I am doing it, I keep on doing it till Jupiter progresses to the next sign, and Jupiter progresses to the next sign. Yes. Now it is 3rd of February 1987. So it means that the marriage cannot happen before 3rd of February 1987 till Jupiter transits into the
Pieces.
sign of, yes, Pisces. Now, after having adjusted the Jupiter here, now here also Jupiter is again falling on the axis of Rahu and Ketu. This transit will not be favorable. Anyhow, if we forget it for the moment, now what we need to do after fixing the transit of the Jupiter is, here the Dasha is still Jupiter and the Bhukti is Venus. I will have to fix the position of Sun. The transit of Sun, the position of Sun has to be fixed. So marriage cannot happen before 3rd of February 1987. So the next rule is to fix the position of Sun. Which is the favorable position of Sun? The favorable position for the Sun out of all the signs is the one in which Sun is aspected by Jupiter. अब ये अलग तरीका है. सी ट्रांजिट अगर आप देखोगे तो फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ट्रांजिट no specific rules have been given in the cuspal interlink theory, right? So you need to work on these rules all of your own. No specific rules are given for transit.
Sir, Kapil, sometimes we are following the Vedic rules, sometimes we are following the other
नहीं
rules.
नहीं कर रहा. मैं तो सिर्फ वैदिक तो फॉलो ही नहीं कर रहा ना. मैं तो आपको ट्रांजिट की बात कर रहा हूँ.
17 axis Rahu, 17 axis, and one more thing.
अरे सुनो, आप अगर कस्पल पे रहोगे, कस्पल में ट्रांजिट के लिए कोई स्पेसिफिक रूल्स नहीं दिए हुए. अब कस्पल में रूल नहीं दिए हुए हैं, स्पेसिफिक रूल्स नहीं है, और हमको सेटिस्फाई करना है, देन हाउ डू वी डू इट? एक तरीका तो ये था, कस्पल इंटरलिंक के बेसिस पे मैं डायरेक्ट वीनस की जगह यहां सन ले आता, फिर उसके बाद मैं अंतरा एडजस्ट कर देता, फिर सूक्ष्म प्राणा अपने रूल्स के अकॉर्डिंग एडजस्ट कर जाता, तो मैरिज एडजस्ट हो गई थी. सेकंड रूल क्या है कि now all these positions they get fixed only if the transit favors. Transit के लिए you have to use certain additional rules which otherwise are not given in the book written on the basis of cuspal interlink theory. They are the simple rules for the transit, that it has to transit in a sign which is a significator of the marriage giving houses. That's all, nothing else is given. Then it should transit in a star which should also be a significator of marriage giving houses. It should transit in a sub which is also a significator of marriage giving houses. It should transit in a sub which should be significator of marriage giving houses. Now what I have discussed with you, I have discussed that for this particular chart all the planets, they are significators of the marriage. And if all the planets are significators of the marriage, it means that the transit of Jupiter or transit of Sun or transit of Moon may take place to any sign. It will always be favorable. Look here, for this present position on 3rd of February 1987, Sun is transiting in Venus, significator of marriage. It is transiting in Rahu, significator of marriage. It is transiting in sub of Venus, significator of marriage. In the sub of Venus, again a significator of marriage. Now, what will you say? Marriage will happen at this point.
No,
What I
marriage
am,
will happen. Marriage will happen.
it will not happen, na? It will not happen. It has not happened. It will not happen. It has not happened. That is what I am trying to clarify. That is what I am trying to clarify. If we just look into the rules given by the Kaspal, because it is silent beyond that, and the reason for being silent beyond that is because Khullarji was not well, so he could not work beyond, say, I believe, 2011 or 12, he couldn't work beyond that. Maybe he has the ideas, but they have not been published so far. Now, the point is that if I predict something, you are definitely going to pose me a question why it is so. So I have to give the answer to that why it has to be taken like that. Now, यहाँ से कोई rule deviate नहीं किया Kaspal theory का. Rules are same. Rules are same. We have not deviated from the Kaspal theory. And neither we are trying to deviate from it. Okay. So here, if you look at this point, that Jupiter is here in its own sign, we have to fix the transit of Sun. Now, how to fix the transit of Sun? Sun should transit in a sign which is a significator of marriage giving events. All the signs are significator of marriage giving events. Then, among all these signs, how you can tell which is the most favorable sign? How can you tell that? Haji Murthy ji, do you get my question? मूर्ति जी, अगर हम सिर्फ कस्पल ही लेके चलेंगे तो ट्रांजिट के रूल्स में कुछ मॉडिफिकेशंस वी हैव टू डू so as to justify and so as to satisfy the conditions. So what we are doing here is, of Jupiter, the transit of Jupiter in this sign is okay, nothing wrong with it, right? And then the next point is that we have to fix the transit of Sun to fix the month. Year we have already fixed, it is 1987. We have to fix the month. The month has to be fixed on the basis of the transit of Sun or on the basis of transit of Mars. Now, how do we do that? So, Sun has to occupy a position. Which position? A position where the aspect of Jupiter is there. So it means, now without taking into that aspect, I would have given you directly that looking at the position of Jupiter, the favorable position for Sun in the transit is 4th house. This is 9th house, 11th house, 8th house. The three signs which are important, they are 4, 6 and 8. Haji, is it clear or not?
Jupiter should aspect Sun.
Yes, it is a must. It is a must. आप अपना चार्ट उठाओ, जब तक जुपिटर सन को एस्पेक्ट नहीं करेगा मैरिज नहीं होगी. जब तक जुपिटर के एक्सेस पे मून नहीं आएगा मैरिज नहीं होगी.
Aspecting in KCL theory.
KCL में एस्पेक्ट का रूल नहीं है ना.
No. This is not KCL rule.
That is what I am telling. Now, yes. Here is what I can do is, now, if you just forget about everything else, what I have been talking is my giving you explanation was you can understand that how we need to do it. Now if you forget about all these things, come here, come back to the cuspal interlink theory. Now in the cuspal interlink theory, the appropriate age for marriage is Jupiter. The age is 20 years, and at 20 years of age, which is 1986, Jupiter dasha is running. So Jupiter dasha is okay for giving the event of marriage. After that, we have to select the bhukti. Bhukti has to be a co-ruler of the seventh cusp, and the seventh cusp co-rulers are Venus, Sun, Jupiter, and Jupiter. Now, the first bhukti is of Jupiter. Jupiter is not taken as the bhukti because the year is 1978, and from 66 to 1778, it is 12 years of age where marriage is not possible. So, Jupiter bhukti is rejected. Thereby, over to next bhukti is Saturn and Mercury. Saturn and Mercury are not appearing as the co-rulers of the seventh cusp. They have to be rejected. Ketu is not appearing as the co-ruler of seventh cusp. It is rejected. Venus and Sun are the other ones. Out of Venus and Sun, Venus is the sign lord, Sun is the star lord. Sun lord is stronger as compared to Venus. Thereby, Sun bhukti has to be taken. हाँ जी, हो गया कस्पल का रूल?
हाँ वो है.
हो गया?
It is okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now, Sun bhukti will start from which period? Sun bhukti will start from 12 to 1987 to 1/12 1987. Okay, 12 to 1987 to 1/12 1987. So it means this is the period of marriage. I put here 12 to 1987. It is still Venus, and 1660. So I put here 1620. Okay, so it is Sun bhukti, right? ठीक है जी. अब Sun bhukti, Sun antara, Sun sukshma and Sun prana. Can you have Sun as the bhukti as well as antara as well as sukshma as well as prana? Answer is absolutely not. Okay, answer is absolutely not. Now if when you take Sun as the bhukti lord, we have to select the antara. What are the rules for antara? The rules for antara is number one. The first rule is it has to be a co-ruler of the primary cusp, which means we can have Venus, Sun, and Jupiter. Okay, we can have Venus, Sun, and Jupiter, right? And the second rule is that besides being the co-ruler of the primary cusp, it should be a co-ruler of one or all the supporting cusp. So if you one or all the supporting cusp. Now if you look at this rule, then Jupiter is a co-ruler of 5, co-ruler of 7, and co-ruler of 11. So Jupiter is the first planet that qualifies to be the Antara Lord. Okay. The second planet is Sun. Sun is a co-ruler of 7. It is also a co-ruler of 11. So Sun is the other planet that qualifies to be Antara Lord. Then the third planet which qualifies to be Antara Lord is Ketu. Here represents Venus and Jupiter. Ketu is representing Venus and Jupiter, and Venus and Jupiter are both appearing as the co-rulers of the seventh cusp. Therefore, Ketu also qualifies to be the Bhukti Lord. So then we have, the Antara Lords. So then we have got three Antara Lords with us. One is Sun, second is Jupiter, and the third one is Ketu. Now the question is, Sun Bhukti, Sun Antara. Sun Antara can only be repeated if planet Sun qualifies or planet Sun signifies all the three houses, 5, 7, and 11. Sun here is signifying only 7 and 11. It is not signifying 5. So Sun Antara is not possible. Right? Then over to the next one, which is Jupiter, and it is Ketu. So one out of these has to be the suitable Antara. And which is the suitable Antara? It will be decided by the transit of the Sun. Transit of the Sun. So I have to look for the antara of Jupiter that starts from 23/5/1987. (23/5/1987). 23/5/1987. So it is Jupiter Antara. Now at this particular point, Sun is transiting in Venus sign. Okay, it is transiting in Venus sign. Right? Now here the question is that how we can justify that the transit of Sun in this sign is okay. Venus, if you look at Venus, Venus is seventh cusp sign lord. It is not present in 5, it is not present in 11. Right? So no appropriate answer can be given here. That why Sun here is not suitable for the transit. This position is not suitable for the transit. Sun Antara appears to be okay. Jupiter Antara appears to be okay. There is nothing wrong with it. अब हम कैसे एक्सप्लेन करें इसको? The transit of Sun at this position is okay. अब इसमें एक ही ऑप्शन है यहाँ पे हमारे पास. If you look at Jupiter, यहाँ भी 6 नहीं है. Even at this position also we do not have 6. Now here the only point which I was telling you is that Jupiter is not aspecting Sun. देखो किसी भी इवेंट को ट्रिगर करने के लिए जो रूल्स हैं, डबल ट्रांजिट का रूल सेटिस्फाई होना चाहिए, सारी पोजीशंस जो है वो सेटिस्फाई होनी चाहिए. सन ट्रांजिट always has to be at a position at which the Jupiter aspects. Only that position is the allowed position for the transit of Sun. Every chart it is applicable. Every chart. There is hardly one or two charts where it won't be applicable. Every chart this is applicable.
Double transit and position of the planet. One more point is there. What?
It is double transit. Jupiter, Saturn, they should aspect each other, and Sun should be aspected by Jupiter. अब Sun का यहाँ पे क्या है? Sun is in third position from Jupiter. There is no aspect of Sun. No aspect of Jupiter on Sun. Thereby what we need to do is we need to change the position of Sun from here to here. यही fifth position है ना? Jupiter से fifth position ये आएगी. If you do it, the Sun is degrees 8. हो गया? ओके हो गया? ओके हो गया?
Okay. Double transit and Sun position of the planet and aspecting by the Jupiter.
नहीं, look here, fifth aspect खत्म हो गया ना यहाँ पे. फिफ्थ एस्पेक्ट जुपिटर ने अपना पोजीशन चेंज कर लिया.
पीछे जाना जरा.
आप पीछे चलते हैं. लो
फिफ्थ एस्पेक्ट आना. पीछे
ये लो, Jupiter ने before sun has gone into the sign number 4, Jupiter has already changed its position from Pisces to Aries. Okay, and here there is no transit. I mean, there is no aspect. Okay, so then if there is no aspect, we will have to change Sun to a position where it is aspected by Jupiter. Right, sir?
Leo पे आना.
Leo पे आना. Now it is aspected by Jupiter.
Yes.
And Jupiter here is retrograde. Being retrograde is also acts from the previous house. Okay, and from the previous house, it is aspecting these planets. We leave about these planets. So Jupiter has to aspect Sun, and it satisfies the condition. Okay, Jupiter retrograde is also being also aspecting Saturn. Okay, so Saturn, Jupiter, they are in conjunction, they are aspecting each other, and Jupiter is aspecting Sun. Double transit condition is satisfied, and the aspect on Sun by Jupiter is also satisfied. So we are now left with arranging the position of Moon only. That's all. Now here, what is important? If you look at the antara at this particular period of time, instead of Jupiter, it becomes Mercury. And what we have studied here, that either it is Jupiter, which can be antara, or it is Ketu, which can be antara. Am I right? Saturn cannot be antara, Mercury cannot be antara. अभी तो किया ना हमने डिस्कस. Antara lord, there can be 3 antara lords. One is Sun, second is Jupiter, third is Ketu. Antara lord का first condition क्या है? It has to be a co-ruler of the primary cusp. Am I right? Second condition क्या है? That besides being the co-ruler of the primary cusp, it should also be a co-ruler of one or both the supporting cusp. So here, based on that rule, Sun, Jupiter, and Ketu were 3 planets we identified to become the Antara lords. Now, when we have changed the position of Jupiter and Sun in a favorable position, then at this particular juncture of time, the Antara lord becomes Mercury. Mercury cannot act as the Antara lord. So if Mercury cannot act as the Antara lord, we have to change it to the next Antara, that is Ketu. So then I have to change the date from the present 16/9/1987 to 27/9/1987. If I do it, I get Ketu as the Antara. Now, Jupiter Dasha, Sun Bhukti, Ketu Antara, all the 3, they are okay. And Ketu Antara is right up to 14/10/1987. 14/10/1987. It means that the marriage will happen before 14/10/1987. So 27/9/1987 to 14/10/1987 is the period in which the marriage can happen. Is it okay? हाँ जी ओके है कि नहीं ओके?
ओके सर ओके.
कोई डाउट है तो पूछो. कोई डाउट है तो पूछो. Now, what is the rule for a planet to become the Sukshma Lord? Again, the same rule which we have used for the Antara. The same rule that we have used for Antara. हाँ जी, क्लियर है. Now look here, at this particular point, when I change it to Ketu, then Sun shifted from 5th sign to 6th sign. Am I right? And Jupiter here is in the Aries sign. So it appears to be in 6th position from Jupiter. But Jupiter is retrograde, also acts from the previous sign. Therefore, it is aspecting Sun as well as it is aspecting Saturn. It satisfies both the conditions. Now the only thing that we are left with is adjusting moon. That's all. To adjust the time period. That is to select the Sukshma and Prana. यहां तक क्लियर है तो बोलो, आगे चलें फिर. हाँ जी, मूर्ति जी क्लियर है कि नेक्स्ट क्लास एक क्लास और रखें?
Sir, can't you use this ephemeris of Jupiter and Moon and Saturn, Moon and Sun, sir?
Moon and Sun, we can do it. You can check it over here. It is given here in the planetary position. Sun is in the sign of Mercury and in the star of Moon. Moon is in the sign of Mars and in the star of Jupiter. And Jupiter is in the sign of Mars and star of Ketu.
No, ephemeris, sir.
हाँ, एफिमेरिस में भी यही चीज आएगी ना, यही तो आएंगे जो यहाँ है, ये एफिमेरिस ही तो है.
No, sir, that is not his question. He is asking, why don't you use the ephemeris to select all these things?
Sir, it is okay to do it because it's much easier to go there.
No.
It is much easier rather than following this. It is much easier to go there because when I select something over here, I have to look here at the sign, at the star, at the sub, and at the sub. And when I look into that particular transit chart, I get everything in the same chart. Look here, I'm getting the same thing in the same chart. Over here, I get everything. These are the positions given in the ephemeris. It is the same thing.
Okay,
this is more convenient. It is more convenient to have a look because you can look at all the planets simultaneously. Over there also it is okay, but over there the positions, sign, lord, star, sub and sub are given at the bottom. So you have to check all the positions for all the planets. You have to click one by one and then you need to check. Here the position is simultaneously given for all the planets, so it is much easier to read it from here. हाँ जी, ठीक है यहाँ तक.
ओके सर.
यहाँ तक कोई डाउट है पहले वो डिस्कस कर लो, फिर उसके बाद हम सूक्ष्म प्राणा डिस्कस करें. अब इसमें भी देखो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, जो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट मैं भूल गया कि when we are talking about this particular age 13/8/1966, now for this particular chart I also need to check the progressed sign lord.